All right, man. Michael, I'm super pumped and excited about baseball season that's coming up. Uh, I'm having a little fun with this countdown thing I'm working on Twitter. It's not like a big thing, but I've been going through and picking players that wore jersey numbers that correlate to the number of days left before first pitch, right? And for me, and since most of it's going off of my memory, they're all recent players. So one, it's more fun to see like, oh, I watch this guy play, right?
Hmm.
Um, I I still feel like I need to qualify some of these picks and be like, one, like some days there could be like a whole thread of guys that wore that number. So don't get like super offended or like bent out of shape if I didn't pick your favorite player that wore number 3 or whatever. Like, okay, for example, yesterday's was number 11, right? From my memory alone, we had three guys who were number 11. Um, One's a current player, Andrew Devine. Then it was Cam Warren and Steven Smith. So I stuck with Steven Smith. And then when I did like the follow up and I included Cam, I was like, well, his stats were actually more impressive than Steven Smith. But Steven Smith was obviously a lot earlier in my baseball fandom for Texas Tech. But again, several days, like going back to 16, Josh Young, I could have gone with Tyler Floyd as well. I couldn't have gone with Tyler Floyd over Josh Young. Zach Davis and John McMillan both wore 18, sorry, 19. Cole Stillwell, Zach Reams both wore number 20. Bryant Burleson, Mason Molina wore 21. 25, Owen Washburn, Connor Queen, Hunter Hargrove. Like, anyways, I say that because there will be a few days left. Like the 10th was today. It could have been Ty Coleman, Mason Montgomery, or Tyler Sloaney.
You
Trying
good?
not to sneeze, man.
Oh, okay. I was just checking on it. We've
It was
we've
like
had some
right
audio
there.
issues, so I was just like, oh man,
No,
is
it was
is
right there. I
everything
was
still
like,
there? I
uh,
understand.
Dylan Noisy was today. No, it's scheduled for tomorrow. And then we got Kurt Wilson, Tanner Gardner, Cody Masters, Ryan Long for 7. Tim Tadlock is all by himself at number 6. Hudson White, Brian Klein, Patrick Mahomes, all wore number 5.
Which one are you going to pick?
I
Hang
haven't, I
on,
haven't,
hang on.
I
Wait a
haven't, I
minute.
haven't picked that one yet. I haven't picked that one yet.
Wait a minute. Does number 5 happen to fall on Super Bowl Sunday?
It's on the 12th. So, yes.
I mean,
I
how much
probably
more perfect can you be?
probably should, shouldn't I?
You probably should pick Mahomes on Super Bowl Sunday if it's 5 days until baseball.
Yeah. And then Grant Little, only one that wore 4, or only one I can remember. Michael Davis, Jace Young, Gabe Holt, Orlando Garcia. One of those is not like the other. Or number 2 there in terms of like there were a couple of good ones and then one's like depends on how you felt about his career and how he left Tech. And then number 1, Dylan Carter, Cody Farhat, and then obviously the day of first pitch. Anyways, lots of good guys there. Lots of great memories, recent memory too, with the success that Tim Tadlock in the program has had and has enjoyed. Great selections, great guys to pick from.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You brought this up prior to the season starting about Tadlock's tendency to move game times up in the middle of the week, and
He's done it
I'll be
already.
doggoned if he hadn't done it already. And you had a little pushback, like, no, I don't think he really does that. And you're like, yeah, no, he does. He does that a lot. Well, usually it's on the day people travel. Like, no, it's not always. And so, yeah, the Friday game is at 1 p.m., which is kind of great though, because if you've got a flexible job, that's a great excuse to duck out a little bit early. As Lawrence from Office Space would say, duck out a little bit early on Friday.
Friday. Yep.
Head to Las Colinas, put some drywall in at the new McDonald's. and then go catch the baseball game.
Well, it's quite a bit of a drive to hit drywall in Las Colinas than for the baseball game out here in Lubbock
Yeah, it's
at
a couple
1.
hours.
Couple. We should ask our good friend Kyle Jacobson what that drive looks like since he makes it so frequently these days.
Man,
Coming in from the Metroplex.
burning up the blacktop.
Put a lot of miles in that truck there. Anyways, baseball, I couldn't be more excited. I'm trying to get like there's a lot of excitement for me as a Rangers fan with the moves they've made this offseason, the direction they seem to be heading. That like this could be a decent year for them, trending in the right direction at least when you get you know Simeon and Seager back. Obviously, you got Josh Young that could play a big role for them at third base this year. Then all the guys you signed in the offseason for the starting pitching rotation with DeGrom, Eovaldi, um, guy you grabbed from the Braves. I looked at all these names. I'm blanking on it, but like guys like Dane Dunning are coming back. Um, anyways, exciting times for the Rangers, or at least coming out of what's been a really, really bad past 5, 10 years, whatever it's been since they fell off the table after their World Series. If I never had to hear the name Nelson Cruz again, I think I'd be okay.
It sounds like a typical Rangers fans sentiment.
Oh, hey, speaking of really quickly, we kind of offhanded on accident came up with a good road trip game for Rob to play with his next unsuspecting victim is to name as many 90s and 2000s Rangers baseball players.
This would be a short game with me. I don't know if we'd get out of city limits before it would just be like, okay, that's you win.
Well, they're big names. Like I I kind of started it with like saying obscure guys, but like really with all the moves they did, it wasn't like they had like a very I mean, there was some kind of roster turnover during that time too, good and bad. Like they had A-Rod there for a little bit. Ian Kinsler, who actually just joined the organization back as a special assistant to the GM. Alfonso Soriano was with the Rangers. Mark Teixeira, Prince Fielder. No. Rusty Greer,
This is
Pudge,
good. Pudge, yeah.
Nolan Ryan.
I
He
know
was
that
gone
one.
before I was. Yeah, he was. Well, I mean, he was around. It was cool, like to know the name and like see him in that first row of the stadium all the time. But, anyways, have that on deck for your next road trip. Uh, maybe not Michael, but
Yeah, it would be a very quick game.
or like okay, maybe an adjustment for you is to name like 90s and 2000s Spurs players.
Well, even then,
No, okay, I tried. I,
I mean,
that's
I could get into it. You could do some Steven Jacksons and some Robert Ory's and
I've got
Avery
like
Johnsons, Sean Elliott,
a very very short list of Spurs, and it's like Tim Duncan,
Michael Finley.
Ginobili, Finley. Yeah, he was.
I
A
figured
good
you'd know
Mavs
that
killer.
one.
Yeah. I mean, not that Duncan wasn't, or that Ginobili wasn't, or that Parker wasn't. Like those Spurs teams are just ridiculous, and they always seem to just enjoy beating the crap out of the Mavericks.
Patty Mills, Danny Green.
Sound
Let's
familiar,
see.
but I couldn't say I've watched them.
Kawhi Leonard.
Okay, recognize that name.
David Robinson. You ever heard of him? Pretty good.
Probably. I don't know. Anyways,
Pretty decent.
so you and a friend pick a mutual team and just like go off of their roster from like 20 years ago. Like, okay, Michael, could you name Texas Tech basketball players from when you were a student?
No, not really.
So like
Crockett,
Justin Gray,
Jay
Crockett,
Crockett,
uh, John Roberson, Mike
Matt Temple.
Singletary, Matt Temple, Darko Chodarvich.
Matt Temple, I don't think was while I was a student though, but yeah, it was prior to the podcast. It was pre 23P,
Yeah.
23
Anyways,
PAD. No, BC. Dang it.
I don't know. I think it's a little iffy there. All right. Anyways, hey, but speaking of basketball, let's I guess dive into some Texas Tech basketball. And
Yay.
there are some interesting things there to talk about.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Here comes Stevenson. Spins. And then he's stuck back by the freshman sensation Smith.
Pass over the top. McCormick in the crowd stripped by Owens. Moretti on the run. Bounce pass. Here's Culver.
Evans.
Yes! Game over.
Mooney with a crossover and the lob to Owens.
Now the shot clock is at 3. Mooney spins, fires. Oh, he got it to go. Edwards with a 3. Good! What a shot, Kyler Edwards. Moretti doubled into Tariq Owens, who puts it down. Moretti. Odiasi crowbars it in. Shot clock down to 5. Got the screen. Here's a 3. Good!
Culver got the separation. Oh, big shot. Step it up big time. Dagger. Culver with the dish. Odiase. And one. He can tie it at the line.
That's it. There's a new member of the Final Four Club, and they hail from Lubbock, Texas.
All right. I know we brought it up a couple times, but Mac McClung coming up in 11 days, 2 weeks from now, or less than 2 weeks. All-Star Weekend will be the first ever G Leaguer to enter the NBA Slam Dunk Contest.
Yeah. I'm mainly keeping this here so that I'll remember to watch. And so, I mean, you guys have probably heard it for like 3 weeks, and you'll hear it for another one. You'll be like, okay, we know. But it's so that the guy speaking right now doesn't forget. And I probably still will. I should put it in my phone. I'll put it in my Google Calendar.
Sure. Yeah, you can do
Yeah.
that.
Saturday, February 18th, 7 p.m. TNT.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, Michael, before we get into updating the stats, looking ahead, previewing upcoming games, have you heard about the drama surrounding Mark Adams and the donors, supposedly, allegedly?
Yes.
Do you
and
want to get into
it's-
that?
Well, sure.
Okay.
Sure. What do you got? What do you got? What do you want to get into specifically?
Just your overall opinions, because there were some messages sent today that were strongly
Yes.
worded from Michael's phone. So I know he's got some opinions on it, and whether or not he wants to say that on this platform.
No, it's
But
fine.
but there's just some concerns within the fan base about how involved donors are with the program, and how
Yeah.
the relationships are being managed from a head coach and donor and player and AD perspectives. And I guess all of that, considering the trajectory of the year of their program, is like, well, it's kind of need to get your handle on all this. Otherwise, I mean, it's going to get hairy, and you're not in a great spot. Like, whatever the future of the Texas Tech team, short term future, like you're in a lose spot, right? This was something that Kyle was very vocal about, and I'm sure he will be on the next recording. But like, if you fire him, if you fire Adams, like there's obviously like downsides to that, and just how much say outside people have into the program, because it would definitely feel like that was kind of pushed Because maybe like there would be some sentiment to hang on to Adams a little bit longer, let him have one more shot at it, or have multiple more shots at turning it around. But with the way that relationships have been rumored to have been spoiled, can you allow that to happen? Or, anyways,
Yeah,
I feel like I'm going around like trying to be very vague about this, but ultimately, like on top of the on the court issues, there are also concerns about relationships and how those are being managed from multiple different perspectives. And it's not a great spot to be in, no matter the outcome.
correct. I think the main issue there's several issues I take with the big money donors. I do appreciate their donation to Texas Tech. I don't know those conversations. I don't know if there are strings attached to those donations. I firmly believe there shouldn't be. Maybe they get a little preferential treatment on access to Kirby Hocutt or Gio or somebody on staff, but there should be some clear lines there. Donors, we love to love them when they're the ones writing the checks and everything. And when they're the ones saying things that you agree with, you love to love them. There's supposedly some smoke to a couple of them posting on a certain that most Red Raider fans know about and saying disparaging things. I'm not sure what the hell that's accomplishing. If you're a donor for Texas Tech, I don't know why this big check you write makes you feel like you can go onto a message board where people know it's you writing these big checks and start to spread all these rumors, true or not. I don't see the point in that aside from it just makes you look childish. I don't care what check you wrote. It's damaging the program that you supposedly care about so much. The other thing I don't care for, which I've seen some rumors of, donors approaching players on their own, which they can through NIL. And that's the only way, technically it can happen anyway. It's not like the school can do that with any sort of money guarantees or promises, but donors doing this on their own accord and then trying to make those personnel and roster decisions a part of their quote unquote donation. Hey, you need to take this guy because I paid $50,000 for him. He needs to play. That is ludicrous to me. I don't think anyone outside of Texas Tech University's employment should be making any sort of personnel decisions, demands. So yeah, I mean, I have a lot, I have a lot of issues with most of it because these guys they're coming in, they're writing the big checks. They're also the same guys that hired Adams.
Yeah,
everybody was on board. Don't let them off, because if they're trying to just stir things up now, sure, things may have changed. Things probably have changed, and we don't know exactly what those are, but they hired him. They got their say, and now they don't like it. And now we're all like, oh man, yeah, well, if the donors don't like it, well, we gotta do something. They're the ones that hired his ass. If they don't like him, look in the mirror, man. And if you're going to donate money to a school, this is just going to be, this is it. Take your right off. Maybe you get to shake Hocutt's hand more often than most people do. But man, I don't like that much pull, or demanding that much pull, or going about it in such a way that it makes you look disjointed. It doesn't make you look like you're on the same page with the staff. And it really just comes back down to just going on a message board and saying stuff when people know who you are. Don't do it. I don't get what you're trying to achieve there. You're trying to blow up the program from the inside that you helped build These are the guys you brought in. These are the players you supposedly brought in. These are the coaches you supposedly brought in. And now you're like, oh, well, I'm mad. I'm going to get on message board and tell all these people they're dumb and they don't know nobody listen to me no more. They don't have to. Spend your money somewhere else.
Yeah. I would disagree with you on just one of those points. So, Michael, you were talking about how these guys are the ones that hired him, and so like they should be more or less like on the hook for how things are going. And I would normally agree with that if there weren't the outside issues. Like if the relationships were still in place, like and there wasn't the bridge burning or whatever it was going on, or supposedly, or whatever, if there weren't the extracurricular demands of attention,
Right.
like if it was just like you had a down year, then yeah, I would think like, well, this is the guy you had. It is out of the, out of the trajectory of what we've seen from his career. But I mean, you always know that this would be a possibility, just as remote as anything else. But I have a hard time kind of holding anybody else's feet to the fire when it's like, well, there were some personality issues outside. But I mean, hold on. So I say that. I've also heard that there was a possibility that this was kind of known about before, and it was kind of told like, hey, you need to kind of handle your business quietly. So I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, I get what you're
Maybe
saying.
I'm more,
And I
maybe I'm
tried
more
to address that
on your side there too.
No, I tried to address that a little bit, just saying, hey, things could have changed since then. The guy they
Yeah.
hired may not be the same guy that's working for him now, and that's okay. Hey, I'm not saying that's okay. I'm just saying that's something I will entertain. That's a possibility. But the same folks that are all about giving somebody writing all the checks the most say when they run, I don't know, a completely different company. They run something that's not a basketball team. I know that. Especially over personnel. That's really where it just got me the most irate. People don't even like it when Jerry Jones does this. And he owns the damn team.
Yep.
And he played college football. And there's 55 people on the roster. It's not like, okay, if he demands a couple of guys come in, yeah, it can wreck the team. And yeah, I don't like it either. And I'm even a passive Cowboys fan. I think it's just kind of meddling, and it's not a great way to do things. But it's okay at Texas Tech for a guy who made money in the Permian to certain things be run, certain guys play, certain guys come to this school because I said I would get them, and I paid $50,000 for a 17-year-old.
That would be cheap.
Oh,
apparently,
and it didn't work out. Well, for 17,
yeah,
17, $50,000 is probably sort of on the high end. I have no idea. I just don't like where that's headed. I don't like all the leaks coming out and everything. But I'm just not going to let them off the hook because they write checks. And I'm grateful for it. It's good. It helps the program. It helps the program advance. You get your name on things. You get other things, other perks. You don't get to decide who starts. Get all the way out of here with that.
yeah, because it's
Completely out of the state of Texas with that. I don't want that anywhere near this program, because then we become programs we've made fun of all these years.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like you absolutely do appreciate all the support and financial resources poured into the program from these guys. Without them, you would have an even greater time to keep up and to compete in this landscape. So like I don't envy trying to manage those relationships, right? Like, because there will be some that say with my million, I get a say on who's on the team, or I get a say even more so on who's on the court, how many minutes this person's getting. Because if I'm paying this kid, or essentially, $800,000, I want him on the court, whether or not, whatever. And I realize that number is not totally random, but the circumstances around that player not playing is,
Complicated.
yeah, I was gonna say out of the control there.
But you know who's leaking that? The donors.
The guy who paid that money. He's like, yeah,
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, hey, you made a bad investment. Sorry. No one forced you to do this.
it happens.
It happens. I mean, you probably made 40 times that last year. You'll be fine.
It's true. All right, with that, let's jump into the schedule. What do you say? Stats
Yeah,
update?
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Stats up.
I don't know if it's even better than what we're talking about. Through 22 games, Texas Tech is 23 games. 12-11, 1-9 in conference play. So you are now in the back half of the conference schedule. You are 69th overall in KenPom, lowest in the Big 12. Not a surprise there. You did slide a few spots following the game. Was that Wednesday?
Saturday,
because this week's game is on Wednesday. Don't be stupid.
you're good.
Adjusted offense 80th, slid a few spots from 73rd. Adjusted defense slid a few spots, 66th, all according to KenPom. Haslametrics have you at 72nd, 10 spots lower than you were last week. T-Rank has you at 61st, not that really all that matters. Net rankings 71st, dropped from 65th. You were 1-11 in quad 1 or quad 2 games.
Did I not
If-
update that?
No,
Oh, no.
I
Okay.
was-
You're doing both.
I just combined them just because
Yeah.
those are the two that would matter in terms of if you were on the bubble or anything. If you were trying to build a resume, I think we're well outside of that. You're quad 3, you're still 3-0, 8-0 in quad 3 and 4. So hooray for that. LSU, Eastern Washington is still your best win.
They're skyrocketed. I think they were 136th when we recorded last, and now they've skyrocketed up to 122nd.
Yeah. So
Could be a quad 2 win at some point. You never know.
we did have an instant reaction on Saturday following the Baylor loss. Going into the game, at least according to the Haslametrics projections, it was like 8 points. There was a stretch there in the second half that it just got away from you, right? Like Baylor just went absolutely atomic from 3. And then your offense just vanished. I think you had scored like 5 points in the first 10 minutes of the second half.
Yeah.
I
think that's accurate.
And because you scored within like the first 15 seconds, you got it within 2 points. And then there towards what was like a minute left, you were down by 30. So that's not what you'd like to see. Again, losing the game, not what you're like all that upset about. It's just how it happened, right? The guys that you had typically relied on, and I'm looking like specifically for this game, Kevin O'Banner, just had just atrocious game, especially offensively.
Well, and yeah, I don't know if he even. I don't know how much we can blame him
Sure.
because he shot like 3 times. I just don't know how many touches he got. I don't know if it's completely fair to say he had a bad game because he just wasn't getting the ball. But yeah, the stats are not good. So I think he had 6 points and 4 of them were free throws, something like that, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Upcoming this week, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, depending on when you listen to this, Oklahoma State. Texas Tech is on the road in Stillwater. It is a nearly 10-point loss projection here.
Yeah, 5.5 point spread on the Action app. I'm checking right now because I did not do this before the Baylor game, so y'all can blame me. I forgot to
You weren't focused.
bet against the Red Raiders against the spread and on the money line, so that's my bad. But I'm doing that now.
Yeah, I'd probably take spread and money line. Obviously, the spread there for Oklahoma State. Lady Raiders are on at 7 p.m. tomorrow night, so it's multicasting for you Red Raider
Yeah.
fans tomorrow night.
I don't know. Do you know this? Do you have Apple TV, Spencer?
I don't hold that subscription any longer. I did for a while to watch some baseball games last fall, and there was a show or two I was interested in.
Well, it may be their streaming device. I may have that kind of incorrect. I think Apple TV Plus is the streaming app itself. But for those of you who don't know, on ESPN's app on Xbox One and on Apple TV, you can multicast. You can watch up to 4 games at the same time. And so I've done that quite a bit. Like I think West Virginia, Kansas State or something. The Lady Raiders and the Red Raiders were playing same day, and so I was watching them on the same screen. So if you have an Xbox One or an Apple TV, within the ESPN app, you can watch multiple feeds, and it's all across. You can watch something on ESPN2 and something on ESPN Plus or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, up to 4, and you can choose picture in picture or it's really great. So
Yeah, and
check
like,
it out.
I don't mean this like to give to when we say support the Lady Raiders, it isn't because the men just are terrible this year, and it's going to come off that way for sure as just the men's program is bottoming out here. It feels like. Man, I completely lost my train of thought there. But they're doing really well this season. They are certainly building under Gerlich there. They played some really exciting and emotional games. And you've got greater access, like the access to watching the women's team, the Lady Raiders, is greater now than it ever has been. You have more options to be able to see it. So when we say you should pay attention to them, it's not because just do it because the men suck. It's because they're doing really well, and one, they always are deserving of our attention and support. But you've got greater access now to do it. You don't have to be in the arena to do it. You can do it wherever you're at.
You don't have to have Fox Sports Southwest Plus or whatever anymore. It's just 9 times out of 10, it's on ESPN Plus, and you've already got it. So click it on. Just turn it on.
If you don't, you need to get it. One, because you get all these games, but you also will get so many baseball games coming up this spring. So carry it until Big 12 tournament time. Well, depending on your TV provider and what sports package you have, you may need to get it all the way through towards the end of June for the College World Series, but it's not a bad add to your subscriptions for the next few months. So this game tomorrow night, for at least for the Red Raiders men's team, it is a terrible matchup according to our good friend Ryan Mainville. They are what you wanted to do last year in terms of just having absolutely great size and being able to switch everything. The matchup against Texas Tech is just going to be bad. And I certainly respect his take here and his perspective here. He said Oklahoma State's length and athleticism makes them a daunting matchup. Opponents are shooting 43.2% on 2 attempts, which is 8th lowest in Division I, and 29.4% on 3-point attempts, which is the 16th lowest, having 15.2% of their shots blocked, which is 6th most, versus the Cowboys this season.
Yikes.
So it's
Yeah,
not kind of...
Because of Money Mainville's tweet, I did a little bit of researching, and yeah, as far as Big 12 numbers are concerned, this is the number 2 scoring defense in the Big 12. They are tied with Kansas at number 1 in rebounding. They rebound 37 boards a game. They're kind of on a roll right now. They've won 3 in a row. They've won 5 of their last 6. But the thing that Ryan made me look at was this roster has 5 players 6'9" or taller. And they've got a 7-footer, a legit 7'1" guy who comes off the bench 22 minutes. And man, I think it's Cisse. I listened. Cisse, that's it. Like, I listened to enough of a game highlights to try not to butcher that, and in 23p fashion, I managed to do it anyway. But yeah, he comes off the bench 22 minutes per game. In those 22 minutes, pretty darn productive. 7 points per game, 59% from the field, 44% from the stripe. So, you know, if you can foul him, then go for it. 8 rebounds, Spencer. He gets 8 rebounds in 22 minutes per game.
It's active.
Very active. And then the blocks. He's had 43 blocks this year, which works out to just about 2 per game. So pretty much about every 10 minutes he's in the game, he's getting a block. And not to dog on our guy, Bacho, but
Those aren't the same numbers.
he might rack up 3 or 4 against young Bacho Wednesday night. So I had to look into that a little bit after Mainville found some stuff that wasn't super fun to see, but accurate.
Yeah, so they're they don't have like a go-to guy like you would say that the Red Raiders do on offense. Their leading scorer is 12.2 points per game, and that's forward Caleb Boone, 6'9" guy, as Michael was pointing out. Guard Avery Anderson III, he's hitting at just over 11 points per game. 40% of his field goals are going in. Boone's 62% of his field goals are going in. Bryce Thompson's a bigger guard, 6'6", just under 11 points per game, almost 40% from the field, almost 40% from 3. But if you're getting into a free throws situation, that's probably the guy you want to send up there. It's 56%. Michael did mention there are 5 guys that are 6'9" or taller, and you were looking at Cisse specifically. So just the matchup, the size there, it's not great. On the road games in the Big 12 are always going to be difficult. The environment there at Gallagher-Iba has always been pretty good. So I think we've already given our projections or predictions there to take the points in the Cowboys tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean to go a little further, 3-point percentage. They really don't shoot the 3 that well, but they probably will Wednesday. But they guard it.
Works.
They
Yeah.
guard it very well. I think they were number 2 in the conference, allowing opponents to only 29.4%. So I think it was them and Kansas State, actually. I think they were 1 and 2 in the conference on defending the 3. And
Yeah,
we're not a good
and
3-point shooting team anyway, so it's just kind of like both bad things are happening simultaneously.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to point out. This is something else Mainville was able to find. Texas Tech is 11 of 43, which is 25.6% from 3 the last 2 games without Pop Isaacs. So obviously that's quite a bit lower than you want. But against a team that defends the 3 as well as Oklahoma State does, that number is going to be quite a bit lower. With that, the Red Raider offense is primarily getting inside in the paint, and that's also where Oklahoma State's really good defensively. So anyways, so there's that. That's tomorrow night. At this point, don't expect an instant reaction. Just, oh, you're muted, Michael. There you are. Nope. There you are.
Miss much. You didn't miss
No.
much. I'm back.
was like, I saw your mouth move, and I was like, oh no.
I know. I thought
It
did
lasted
we lose
40 minutes
audio?
this time.
Man.
No, that's all you're muted for whatever reason. Following that, this game this week, was it 3 games in 5 days or 6 days, whatever it ends up being, less than ideal for the schedule. You hit, you're back home versus Kansas State on Saturday. It is a much closer game, at least according to Haslametrics, 70-72. I do feel like you had a decent shot at them on the road, but you had one of your patented second half meltdowns. They are 80, sorry, not 80. They are 19-5 on the season, 7-4 in Big 12 play. They did just polish off the Horned Frogs by 21, 82-61. Again, like they're the 72nd. So I'm having all kinds of reading difficulties here. Texas Tech is 72nd in Haslametrics. Kansas State is 27th in Haslametrics. So it could be a closer game. Just, I don't know, 6 o'clock, ESPN Plus. Be there and be loud if you're in town, I guess.
Yeah, and Kansas State's one of the best three-point shooting teams in the conference. They're up there on rebounds as well. But and then, like I said, up there on three-point defense. So just kind of the same type of buzzsaw. Not the exact same, but close. We saw this already this year. We wanted to go through Oklahoma State a little bit more because somehow we've gone this whole time and have yet to lose to them. So
I've yet to play them. Let's be honest.
I mean, get to play them. That's what I meant.
And then you wrap this 3-game gauntlet up with Monday night back at home versus Texas, 8 p.m. on ESPN. I wouldn't say they're quietly, but I think expectations may have shifted when things went down in December with Beard. But Rodney Terry has kept the ship afloat and thriving down there in Austin. It is a 5-point projected win at this point for the Longhorns. And they would, everybody's on pace except for the Cyclones to sweep you this season. So obviously the atmosphere is going to be quite a bit different than it was last February. We I had that highlight video pop up the other day, and I was like, man, that was just an unbelievable game and night when Chris Beard and the Longhorns made their first trip into Lubbock. And I guess you could say the only trip into Lubbock when you consider Longhorns and Chris Beard. But I wouldn't expect the same kind of atmosphere this go around.
No.
Marcus Carr, Serge Ibaka, what's his last name? Price? Parker? I don't know. For whatever reason, it feels like a P. Number 10. Dude, he ate your lunch in Austin last time you were down there. I'm sure Brock Cunningham will hit a few token threes just because. Rice. His name is Rice. Serge Ibaka Rice.
Yeah, Serge Ibaka Rice.
Thank you, Matt.
There is not a P in there.
Well, I got to Price for whatever reason, and then I was
Okay.
stuck on P.
Okay.
And then a quick look ahead on the schedule. You are in Morgantown on the 18th. And then at Oklahoma on the 21st. So you do get a little bit of a break there between the Monday game after the Longhorns, and then you're off until Saturday. And then you have back-to-back road games Saturday and Tuesday, which are both projected L's. So,
Speaking of projected, have you seen any projected timetable on when Pop Isaacs is supposed to return?
no,
I haven't either.
but there was a question asked of Adams on players returning from injury, And he said one, I think it was one in regards to there was a concern that they were trying to rush back AMAC before this last setback. And he said, no, we're not going to try to rush guys back from injury. It'll be a decision between the training staff, myself, and then he finished up saying, ultimately, it's up to the player on whether or not they play. I was like, interesting phrasing there. Especially that's
You
the one
mean-
that you ended on, is like, it's up to the player if they play.
I mean, it's not up to the people orchestrating the NIL deals.
Or up to the coach.
You mean the player still has a say in this negotiational tactic here?
Apparently. All right. Let's I would say get to questions. The question's already been asked, but if you haven't weighed in yet, Michael did tweet out earlier today. Chicken and dumplings is a gross, soggy, watery mess, which is just off the bat, just swinging for the fence there. What's your least favorite comfort food? But a lot of people, one, were taking shots because they didn't know who tweeted that. They were taking shots at our lovely wives, Michael. And one,
Yeah.
one Samantha's not the cook in this household. I wouldn't ever ask her or anyone to make me chicken and dumplings. That's just not something I'm going to go and seek after.
My wife is definitely the cook. She grew up in the state of Kentucky. Does not like chicken and dumplings. Has never made it for me. And so, you get every time you throw out a take like this, like, oh, well, you're eating the wrong recipes, or you're eating on, this isn't, you're not doing it right. And I'm like, no, I mean, it's been about 40 years. I think I'm done. I think I'm done trying to find it. I don't care if it's the biscuit dough kind. I don't care if it's the tortilla kind. Actually, I think I do care. I think the tortilla kind is worse.
How is that?
'Cause
Like, that's not a dumpling.
That's how they did it in Kentucky. I think it's because they don't know what the hell to do with tortillas over there. They're just like, oh, well, let's put them in some goop. And that was another thought. There were some other takes in here throughout the comments. We'll get through some of them, but calling it a soup, and that is the first time in my life I'd ever even heard of or considered this dish a soup.
Yeah.
Which makes it almost worse somehow. Does that make it worse?
Consider it a soup. It's in a broth
It's a
base.
soup? I think it's like I don't know what it is. It's like its own thing.
Is it like a chowder?
Porridge. It's a porridge.
Porridge. So one, I want to get through some of the replies on the least favorite comfort food that we're supposed to like. LeVar said Frito pie.
Wow. I mean, I thought my take was going to be strong.
His food takes have always been on the questionable side. Let's be honest.
Frito pie. I mean, I love Frito pie. That's up there on the comfort food Mount Rushmore. Probably it's pretty close.
Yeah, and it's versatile, especially like game day. Like you can take those into stadiums or into your seats, whatever. They'll put it in the bag for you, a little bag
Yeah.
of Fritos, and just put some chili and cheese. I don't know. Jazz said she gave several: black eyed
did.
peas, cornbread, okra, any and all animal neck bones, greens, and grits. She also said finishes it. I don't eat everybody's meatloaf or desserts.
Hey,
So
I was
she
and I
had the
was
list, man.
Yeah, I replied back to her. I was like, man, I'm with her on about half of it because okra, nah, I'm done with okra too. It's fine. No, actually, it's not fine. I'm done with it. My parents, we used to have a garden, and they would stew it
It's just
because I think that's what their parents did too. Like they would stew or boil. They would have boiled okra, and I don't think I ever had the guts to try it because if y'all have seen it, it's just slime. It's just slime floating around. And I think Jazz went on later to say something like, yeah, people put okra in gumbo. And I'm like, well, thanks for ruining the gumbo. And I'm like, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Okra, I'm done. If I never eat okra again, great. Black-eyed peas, I do like. Cornbread, I like. Neck bones, hard pass. Greens, I think, have to be done exactly perfect. So I can leave those two. Grits, though, I do like grits. And I like meatloaf.
Okay, so I'm the occasional, like the holiday black-eyed pea eater, and that's about it. Cornbread though, love it. I'm with you on the okra and the slime. It's unbearable.
Mm-mm.
The way you have to get around that is if it's fried.
Yeah.
But
It's the only acceptable okra vessel is battered and deep fried.
a place that's going to offer you fried okra is going to have something else fried, and I would always lean towards that
Yes.
over okra. I've never had animal neck bone, but I just assume it's all bad. It just sounds just so unappetizing. I haven't had good greens, so I'm probably out on that. Grits, I've tried several times. I just can't do it. I tried it with like cheese. I tried it with like shrimp, and when I'm not like a seafood guy either, but just not there. Meatloaf though, I mean, I'm
Oh,
on
yeah.
board with some meatloaf. Desserts though,
I'll try anybody's dessert.
could be hit or miss because
Yeah.
you get so many different like family variations for whatever reason, especially on desserts. You're like, I don't know if I would have done that. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, we had so many people say you got the wrong chicken dumplings recipe.
Yeah, that's fair. That's always a fair criticism when this top's brought up. Where did I see?
Mexican food. Somebody came in and said Mexican food. What are you supposed to do with that?
I almost had a stroke. I don't know. That seemed really interesting to me. Okay, there's the more replies button. I couldn't find them. Okay, let's see. More replies. I don't know why it keeps making me click it. Thank you, Elon. Big Hen says y'all are breaking my heart. Sorry, buddy. I know that chicken and dumplings is near and dear to a lot of folks. I get it. Let's see. Robert
Nick
comes in. Well,
Okay.
I've got Robert real quick, which
Okay.
I appreciated this on several levels because he said, while I disagree with your stance on chicken and dumplings, he just left it at that. He just said, well, I disagree with you. My answer, I'm sure, will be viewed similarly. And he says, I can't stand mac and cheese. Almost stroked out again.
Yeah. That's
So
the
far,
same.
we've got Frito pie, mac and cheese, and Mexican food.
Yeah.
But he did go on to say that he's like, hey, I'm still trying. I mean, I appreciate that. He's still going for it. I've kind of given up on chicken and dumplings. He has not given up on trying to like mac and cheese, and he had some lobster mac and cheese at a football game recently. His words of all places. And it was incredible. So he says, so there may be hope for me yet. Love it. Keep fighting the good fight, Robert.
I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I'm not even gonna try. French onion soup.
Yes.
Where are you at on that?
I like it fine. I talked with my wife about this way too much before we recorded. And we were both kind of just surprised that French onion soup was considered a comfort food. And then she Googled comfort foods just to see some other one, some that she might add to her personal list. And yeah, sure enough, French onion soup was like in the, the first 10.
Yeah.
Her list, by the way, pretty much broccoli, cheese, and anything. Not a fan. She's out of.
Okay.
She's out on that. She doesn't really care for broccoli that much. She will eat it, but it's not like a thing that she enjoys. And then Salisbury steak. She's out on that, which I
Okay.
get. Okay, what else we got? Oh, David said lasagna. I was
Yeah,
out on that for a long time too because I think there's something with how whatever the meat is in the lasagna, if it's like Italian sausage that didn't really break down very well, and it's like really cartilagey or something. Is that a word?
I don't know if I want to think about that one.
No. See, there you go. That's why. So, that's where I'm going. So lasagna was brought up.
Chicken pot pie.
Yeah. My wife doesn't care for that either. Let's see. Someone said, "Thank you. It's absolutely revolting." Oh, this is Nick, and he also said mac and cheese.
Yeah.
And also said chicken spaghetti. Man, not a fan of the noodles and cheese. That's cool. I got you, man.
I don't like stringy chicken.
You don't like shredded chicken?
No.
Hmm.
Nah.
Yeah, that's usually what you get with chicken spaghetti.
or with
Chicken spaghetti.
Yeah.
Or with chicken and dumplings.
chicken dumplings. This has not been a great conversation to have because I had one of my my nights last night, Michael, where I was like up all night thinking I was gonna be sick, and I've just been like off all day today.
Oh, great. Sorry, man.
I didn't even eat dinner tonight. I'm just like, oh, can't with this food talk because like I don't like some of these, like they're so bad. I don't disagree. In the chat though, hold on, live chat. Steven said pickled okra is good.
Oh, I've never tried that either.
I don't know.
I haven't. I mean, I'm usually really open to trying different things, but man, there's something about okra I just shut down. I'm like, nah. There was
Yeah.
one other instance,
Sorry,
and
gosh.
I swear I've talked about it, but my granny, rest her soul, we'd go camping, and she, for like dinner, she would get her big cast iron skillet out. We'd have the fire going, and she would have some okra because we had gardens in the summer, and so we were camping in the summer, and she would like lightly bread it with cornmeal, and then kind of fry it up like that, to where it gets really kind of crunchy on its own. Not necessarily like battered and deep fried, not like that, but just kind of cooks out some of that moisture and some of that sliminess. Yeah, okay, that was good because she'd like have potatoes and onions and of course butter and who knows what else, whatever she wanted to put in there. Probably some like squash and some other summer vegetables and stuff. And so she'd cook all that up on the cast iron. But yeah, I've never tried pickled okra, Steven, man. I don't know.
He also came back and said he can't do menudo, and can't do the hominy. My stepdad, he would love to get menudo, and I never tried it. The smell and the description of the meat that was in it was like, no, I am out. Hard pass.
I can't remember if I may have had it once, but I think it was one of those where it was in something, so it wasn't like a huge focal point. What was it about hominy though?
I don't know. He just says I can't do the hominy.
Really? My aunt made a taco soup that has hominy in it. I liked that, and I even get the it's the corn nuts version of hominy. The gigantic dried roasted hominy snacks. Just crunch them. I've seen Inca corn. I've seen it called that too. That's pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. Probably what he's calling hominy is not what I'm calling it. So
He said it's the texture that he can't
yeah,
do.
I could see that. Just like a huge piece of corn. just kind of weird.
Maddie said that the turkey necks are actually pretty good. Never tried it.
Just a lot of work. Just seems like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Y'all seen my teeth. Food gets stuck in these things all the time. So I'm not really into getting down on a turkey neck.
All right. We've got a couple things to touch on what we learned. So let's do that and then wrap this thing up. We say, Michael.
Okay.
What did we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't know either.
All right.
I don't know why it made me laugh this time, but it did.
That's the first time you laughed at that in a while. One, you brought it up. I don't know if we were recording or streaming yet. I have a couple of new hats with this brand in here.
Yeah.
And it's not really all that exciting. If you're watching, it's my brother-in-law bought and opened a franchise of StormGuard here in town. It's a roofing and construction company. we were at their house for family dinner Sunday night. He's like, "Hey man, I got a couple of new hat options just came in. Do you want one?" So one is this one. It's a black panel, black bill, gray mesh trucker hat. The logo is on the left front panel. I was like, yeah, man, that looks great. And then he pulled out one that was similar, but it had the bigger Stormguard logo across the front, and it's red mesh and red thread around the hat. It's pretty.
Oh,
good.
the red thread.
I may wear that one next time.
Yeah, I'd like to see that next time. That's a good looking
Fun.
logo.
Yeah, I'm supporting Stormguard. So if those in the area need a roof inspection, I know a guy.
You know a guy.
And he came from the insurance side of things, so he knows how all that nonsense works, so he can get you the all that you need for new roof. But Stormguard, no
That
free
looks good.
ads. Corey, you should become a sponsor. if I'm going to wear your hat and give you some promotional deals there, I should make him a sponsor. Speaking of, I don't know how it would work out, but just because of the weird nature of like the business being on campus. But if we could ever work out a Red Order Meats sponsorship,
I'm down.
it'd be
I talked about it on the
phenomenal.
instant reaction. I'm gonna thaw a tri-tip. I bought 2 of them on Saturday. I'm gonna thaw one of them for the Super Bowl. I'm gonna make my own chimichurri sauce. I don't know if I don't think you say sauce.
I think it's just
Probably should just
chimichurri.
said yeah. It's just that's it. So I'm gonna make my own chimichurri, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna season it. I think I'm gonna do the dry brine, a little bit of kosher salt, put it in the fridge for a couple hours. I have some Raider Red steak seasoning that just maybe I may have just enough for a tri-tip. That may be what I go with.
I use that steak seasoning on not only steaks but burgers, man, and it's
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, I've done that too. I did want to talk. I've had this on here for a few weeks, so it's been a little while. But local business, also not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
But Desert Rose, if you're in Lubbock, Texas, look her up. DesertRoseBaking.wix site, WIXSITE.com. She just started her website, but you can find her on Facebook, probably just as easy, if not easier. She makes cheesecakes. Not just cheesecakes, but that's kind of what she's most known for. I think she moved here from Albuquerque, and she made cheesecakes there at a restaurant there. And so she's here in Lubbock now, and she's got her own place set up. And so she makes cheesecakes. They're $65 to $70, which, talking to my wife who's a baker, she's like, really, that's pretty good considering how much you have to buy right now and how much eggs are and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay. So, but she's got vanilla, cherry, Samoa drizzle. She's got something called cotton candy cheesecake, which looks incredible. It's got sprinkles on it. It's all different colors. Red velvet cheesecake, brownie bottom cheesecake, freedom cheesecake,
So that one
and then
caught my
Yeah, go
eye.
ahead.
I'm on her website, so it's the description is my ode to the red, white, and blue, red strawberry Oreo crust, white vanilla cheesecake, and blueberry compote.
I didn't even know there was such a thing as red strawberry Oreos.
Never heard of them.
So that's incredible. But I can attest personally to the cookie butter cheesecake, which is it's made out of that Biscoff or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
So cookie butter infused cheesecake batter baked on a Biscoff cookie crust and drizzled with more cookie butter and a cookie. That was insanely good. So yes, she does cheesecake, but also, check her Facebook, especially because the reason we went, she also does Navajo tacos. which
Interesting
is-
mix.
Yeah. I mean, and she does them like Tuesday nights or something. And, if you get one, it's genius the way she does it. The Navajo taco itself, the big fry bread piece, I mean, it's the size of like a personal pizza. No, I mean maybe like a small pizza. It's like 10 or 12 inches. It's a big piece of flatbread
It's
or
substantial.
fry bread. Yeah, and then she's got green chili and red chili. So you pick that, but the way she does it is you get your fry bread by itself, and then in a styrofoam container you get all the toppings that you then put on the fry bread. And so because of the way she's done that, we had it 2 nights in a row because, it's not like it was soggy fry bread or something. We split one and then we split the next one. It was great. So anyway, we have tried this stuff personally, and it was really great. And we really are going to have to go get some more cheesecake. If you're in Lubbock, check them out. Desert Rose.
All right, last thing. I saw this and I wanted to just hear your thoughts. There's that new Texas Roadhouse here in town that's opening up, which has been, I don't understand. Except for I know the current location has like 10 parking spots, and that's literally all I've ever seen talked about with the new locations. Like it can hold like 400 cars. I was like, "Ugh, great." So I'm sure that new location of the Texas Roadhouse, which I think is still on the Loop, but over there by where that Toys R Us used to be and the mall,
Yeah,
Like
it's off
it's across from
Slide.
the mall. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be packed for a couple of weeks. Not because it's anything good, just it's new-ish restaurant.
I don't. Well, no, because it's Texas Roadhouse too. Lubbock has an obsession with this place. Every time I drive by it, there's just people outside. There's people tailgating. I've seen people tailgating at like the wireless place 7 businesses away, waiting for their Texas Roadhouse table. I mean, I'll make y'all some honey butter, and I can get some yeast rolls from Mrs. Schubert. Y'all can hang out at my house and give you some. Let's see. That's it. That's all I can really do for you. I can't cook that many steaks.
No, but I could cook 1 or 2 that'd be really good.
I haven't been there in so long. When I lived in Abilene, one opened there probably like a year or 2 before I moved away to go to college. And it was pretty busy, but it was still never, because I just kind of took it for granted. I remember when I moved to Lubbock, I was like, oh, Texas Roadhouse. I've eaten there in Abilene. I'm going to go there. And then you're like, you walk in and there's 97 people all crammed to your left right when you walk in, and they're all sitting on that church pew thing. And then there's 10 or 15 more parties milling around outside, and there's guys with coolers, and you're like, oh, holy crap. So I don't think I've been since I was in college. But I mean, people say it's good. It's gotta be. It's gotta be worth the wait.
I just have a hard time going to a restaurant like
But-
that and like ordering a steak.
Well, what else would you get?
I know it's like you go to a place like that, to like a steakhouse, to go to get steak, but it's just like I've just never had a really good steak at a place like that. It just feels like, why would I go to a steakhouse that's supposed to be known for steak and then get something that was like, that wasn't that good.
Yeah, I mean, I should try it again sometime, but man, there's just no way. I think I would have to get there when they open, which is 3, or they don't do lunch and they just do the evening. It's
And they don't do reservations or hold a table.
no. I mean, and they don't have to. It's just so bizarre to me that it's probably the most popular restaurant in Lubbock, Texas, and probably has been for like 2 decades.
So with the new one opening up, are you gonna go?
I'm not planning on it.
Not
I'll
anytime
let
soon,
it
at
die
least, right?
down. So yeah, I'll let it die down. So like, maybe when Tech's playing some big football game in 5 years on a Saturday, I'll skip the football game to go to Texas Roadhouse, because maybe
Wow.
that'll be the dead time.
Wow.
When ACU comes to town.
You don't want to see them take on Keith Patterson and Maverick McIver?
My heart can't take it.
Yeah. So
Just can't take it. Too much
Your heart-
invested.
your heart can't take that, but it'll take a steak, huh?
Red meat's good for your heart,
Sure.
depending on who you ask.
All right, I think that'll do it for us tonight on the 23 Personnel Podcast. Baseball season 10 days away, man. By the time you listen to this, it may be under 9. Basketball, it's just a cluster right now. If there's a win that gets eked out, then we'll certainly celebrate that. Lady Raiders are certainly posed to do some damage. So give them some attention. For Michael, I'm Spencer. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at Punt Suck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. Until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.